Welcome to Look Around Florida, and Sean will be with you next.
Welcome to Look Around Florida. I'm your host, Sean McFall, aka the Florida Man. Glad you guys could join us tonight. When you join the chat, just type in hi and where you're from. SEV camp, OCR, or UDC. Everybody's welcome here. We don't discriminate. Keith, Camp 1209 in the house. All right, we're up to 5 people. So that's good. Let me get this out of the way. So if anything comes out of my mouth, I don't get in trouble. This way, with the disclaimer, a lot of this stuff is my views. Leave it at that. Keep me out of the doghouse, or my regional commander and division commander don't call me and say why I say that. Bobby with the St. Pete camp in the house. Good to see you, Bobby. Hope you and your camp are doing great. We got Linda and Roy in the house. As soon as we get a little more people, we'll start talking about events and a few other things, and then we're going to bring up our division chaplain up. Got Jeff Rokine in the house. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up, and one sad thing. So as soon as we get more people in, we'll start get rocking and rolling. TJ, what's up, buddy? All right, let's start rock and rolling. We're up to 8 people, so most people are going to join us later. So keep in mind, division reunion, June 1st. Get your registration in. If you wanted to get your ancestor on the division reunion program, that is up. It is full. It's off to the printers, all that stuff. So if you wanted to get your ancestor in to memorialize them and you don't have it in, I'm sorry, most likely not going to get on. With that, this Saturday, we got a cool event fundraising for the White Springs flag site. This Saturday at 11 a.m. at the flag site in White Springs. They're going to be having hamburgers or hot dogs served with cowboy beans and drinks for $10. It's a fundraising. Located in White Springs, Florida, just off of I-75, exit 439 onto State Road 136 East behind the farmers market. So please go by. If you see Paul Norris, let them know you heard about the event from Look Around Florida. Show those boys some love, and girls. So we got this event coming up, the CSS Chattahoochee Mass Grave Memorial Service, hosted by the 8th Florida Quincy Young Guard Camp 703. Will be this Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday, May the 25th at 10:30 a.m. Location 14 Main Street, Chattahoochee, Florida. I hope I said that right. Speaker will be the Georgia Division 9th Brigade Commander, Captain Jack Conrad of the CSS Chattahoochee Camp 2314. All right, a lot of cool stuff. We got a lot of people joining. Hey, all right, guys and girls, we got a good friend of ours in the chat right now. So I do want to have a moment of silence for Miss Vicki Norris. Her husband, Lee Norris, is in the chat. So just please have a moment of silence for her. Let me bring her picture up. May God be with you at your time of need, Lee. Brother. She's in a better place and at peace. Thank you, Lee. I got your back. Just hit me up if you need to talk. That's right. Good, TJ. Hope you go to that event and have fun. I won't go into the details, but Vicky Norris did pass away this past weekend. So keep Lee Norris and their family in your thoughts and prayers. Let me make sure I got everything. Ready. All right. I do want to put this out there. Remember, guys, duty is a submitted word in our language. Do your duty of all things. You cannot do more. You should never wish to do less. Robert E. Lee. All right. We're going to bring Kim up. He's going to introduce himself and what he does for all of us children. Hey, Kim, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good, Sean. It's good to be on with you. I know you've asked me about this for many months, and I've been the procrastinator on it, but it's good that we could finally make this thing work, and I'm glad to be with you and feel very humbled to do so, considering your past guests have been from our division commander and adjutant all the way up to our commander in chief and everybody in between. So for me to be invited on, I'm just thrilled about it, and I appreciate what you do by having Look Around Florida. I think it's a really good outlet for us to be able. You and I were talking a little bit earlier tonight about communication and sharing information, and I think this is a great opportunity to do so. So
Yep.
thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you, Kim, for the compliment. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah. Of course, my name is Kim Hoffecker. I've been a member of the SCV since December 2008. Initially, I was a member of the local camp in the hometown where I live now, but around 2015, I transferred to Kirby Smith 1209. I was attracted there because of the many projects they had going on, all of the work. It's just been a thrill to be associated with all of the men in 1209, and I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of all of that. About 3 years ago, I was asked to be chaplain for Kirby Smith 1209, and I accepted that position. And then early last year, when our current chaplain at that time, our brother Turner, had to step aside because of some family issues and things going on, I was asked if I would step into the role of Florida Division chaplain. And Calvin called me one afternoon, and at first I was about to tell him, well, give me a few days to think on it and pray about it and all like that. But two things came to mind. One is if Calvin asks you to do something, he is already assured that he can count on you to do the job. So that gave me a bit of confidence. But I just considered, hey, this is one more door that's open for me to be able to serve. And so I went ahead and accepted the position right then. And again, I've enjoyed it. I hope I've been able to serve to the best of my ability and in a way that's acceptable and worthy to the division, and I'll continue to do so. So um, basically, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
As division chaplain, what is some of your stuff that you take care of for us?
Well, when called upon, certainly at the camp level, I offer the invocation and benediction at our meetings and any other event. I have been called upon to do that very thing at some other surrounding camps, and I wish I was in a position, both time wise and monetary wise, where I could travel more um, and be more responsive to our brothers throughout the state, to be able to serve them more. But like I say, sometimes time is a limitation, so that hinders me a little bit. But I appreciate everything that I'm able to do, and like I say, hope that it is acceptable to the membership of the Florida Division.
Yes, sir. Alrighty. Well, we have Kim as our division chaplain. Does anybody have any questions before he goes into his program? Feel free to ask. Alrighty. I don't see anything popping up, so let's go ahead and go into your program. And I think I uploaded your pictures in order.
Okay, good. Well, this is something that I became interested in several years ago, and tomorrow, May 15th, marks the 160th anniversary of the Battle of New Market, Virginia. And the noteworthy aspect of that battle is that the Cadet Corps from VMI, the Virginia Military Institute, was called upon to answer the call to help the Confederate forces. They had an upcoming confrontation with the Union forces. General Breckinridge was the Confederate commander. He had been urged several times to call upon the cadets and bring them up basically as a reserve, which he hesitated to do, but eventually he relented and did that. Now, we've got a series of pictures, and some of these are my own photographs. Some I have gained from other sources. I've been very fortunate, Sean, on two different occasions to visit both Lexington, Virginia, which is home to both VMI and Washington and Lee University, and also the New Market battlefield. The first time was, gosh, I don't know, 25 years ago. And then about a year and a half ago, I was able to return. And on my return trip, though, it was in January. It was very inclement weather, and when I arrived on the VMI campus, I'd have to wait for a let up in the rain, hop out, take a few pictures, jump back in the car, and go from there. But I was able to make a contact with the lady who is in charge of the VMI museum there. And when I told her I had run into some problems as far as some of the pictures I wanted, she asked me what I needed. And the next day she had emailed me some of the other photos. So, like I say, some of these photos we're going to go through, I took personally, and others were from other sources. And I appreciate all of those who stood in to help me to put this presentation together.
Well, Kim, before we go in, a question did come up on our on YouTube. What is the chaplain's favorite Bible verse?
It's hard. It's hard to put your finger on just one. There are so many. Probably 2 Timothy 2:15. Study to show thyself approved. And as you go through that, as you study the Word of God, if you follow that, that'll always lead you on a true and a firm course. So that, at least for right now, for this moment, I would say 2 Timothy 2:15. Now, if you ask me tomorrow, I very well could have another one to give you. But when you go to the scriptures, you can't go wrong with it. So
correct. Thanks, Lewis. Keep in mind, not only we stream to Facebook, but we'll also stream into YouTube also. Alrighty, let's go back. Let me know when you're ready for the pictures, Kim.
We can start at any time. I would like to say this too, that some of you may have seen a movie titled Field of Lost Shoes, which has to do with the Battle of Newmarket and the role that the VMI cadets played in it. And what I like particularly about the movie is the beginning and the end of the movie was filmed modern day at the Virginia Military Institute, and it shows a presentation that is made every year on May 15th. It will occur tomorrow, beginning at 1 p.m., and the entire cadet corps will come out onto the field there in front of the dorms and all of the buildings there. And it is set aside to honor the 10 VMI cadets who were killed at the Battle of Newmarket. And what is impressive about it is the name of each of the 10 cadets is called out, and a cadet from that particular company will respond with the phrase, died on the field of honor. They will go through all 10 names. They will fire a 21 gun salute. They will place floral wreaths. And now, modern day, they have kind of expanded this program, because on the 3 columns leading into the main barracks, they have also placed plaques for VMI alumni who have died in other wars and confrontations and battles since then. So they've kind of expanded this honor that they do every May 15th, not only for the 10 at the Battle of Newmarket, but for all of their alumni who have died on the field of honor. And you can pull that movie up on YouTube and watch it, or you can even go to YouTube and pull up some of the past programs that they have done at VMI. And I'm sure the one they're going to do tomorrow will be filmed as well. I don't know if it'll be carried live or not, but I'm sure then you could pull it up on YouTube and watch. And I found that most impressive. And as we go through the photographs, we'll see there are markers there for all 10 who were killed at Newmarket. only 6 of them are actually buried there. The 6 towards the center are actually buried there. Then there are 2 markers to the left, 2 markers to the right. Those 4 are buried in other places throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we may be able to hit on that as time may permit us to do so. Where those are buried and the markers are, there is a large statue there. It is titled Virginia Mourning Her Dead, and that was done by the sculptor Moses Ezekiel, who was a VMI cadet. He was the first Jewish cadet there. And if you've read about the battle, or if you saw the movie Field of Lost Shoes, Moses Ezekiel was present at that time. He fought in the Battle of Newmarket. And besides that, that statue there at VMI, he also did the Confederate Memorial at Arlington, which unfortunately has been the center of so much controversy of late. But whenever you're ready, we can start rolling through some of these photos, and I'll try to describe them, and we'll go from there. All right, this is just part of the gateway leading into VMI. As you come into the campus, you're coming down Lecter Avenue. Lexington is a very beautiful town. It is a college town. Like I say, Washington and Lee University is there, as well as VMI. They sit side by side. As you enter Lecter Avenue on the right-hand side, you would come to the cemetery on the right, which at one time was called Jackson Memorial Cemetery. Unfortunately, they have changed the name of that cemetery, but that is where Jackson is buried, and many other notables, and we'll see some of the grave markers for some of these as we go through there. VMI has a very military look, the way the buildings are constructed. It's all the same color. I don't know if you call it like an army green or like that. That's an older photo there that I was able to get from one of the books. It shows some of the cadet corps lined up in front of the barracks there. Again, this is just another different angle. It's a little bit difficult to see there. I don't know if you can see the cannon in the foreground. Is that visible to you, Sean?
I can barely see it, but
okay. Well, we'll come up on some other pictures of that in just a few minutes. But that is the large parade ground there in front of the main barracks at VMI.
Okay.
All right, this picture, this is considered probably one of the earliest pictures of a VMI cadet that was located. A very dapper-looking young man, handsome uniform there. His name is Daniel Langhorne. This photo is believed to be from 1845, and he went on to become a physician, and during the war, he attained the rank of lieutenant colonel in the 42nd Virginia Infantry. And if you'll notice at the top of the forage hat there, which the image may be backwards because of the way the pictures were taken, but you can clearly see the VMI emblem on the hat there. All right, this photo is as we get to some pictures of the Bushong farm there in Newmarket, and again, as I kind of mentioned earlier, about May 10th of '64, the Corps of Cadets was called upon to march toward Newmarket to help with the Confederate forces there. The Cadet Corps was made up of 257 cadets. They were organized into 4 companies of infantry and 1 section of artillery. The commandant of cadets was a young man by the name of Scott Shipp, and we'll see some pictures of him in just a little bit. He succeeded Stonewall Jackson as the commandant of cadets. When Jackson was called into the Confederate service, then Scott Shipp moved up to become the commandant of cadets there. As the Cadet Corps moved forward, and the title of that movie, Field of Lost Shoes, was prior to the battle. They had had a lot of rainfall in the area. It was in May. Many of the fields were freshly plowed, so it got very muddy. And as the cadets charged across the field, the mud was so thick that it just sucked the footwear, the shoes and socks off of these young men. And after the battle was over, you could go out and just count shoes everywhere. Thus, the name, the Field of Lost Shoes. Like I say, Breckinridge did not want to use them, and but during the battle there was a gap in the line, and so he was urged to go ahead and put the cadets in. He nodded his approval and said, "May God forgive me of my order. Send the boys in." And so they moved forward. They were successful. They moved through the Bushong farm. They were able to capture a Union piece of artillery, but again at the loss of 10 of their own. The youngest participating cadet was 15 years of age, and the oldest was 25. Like I say, there were 10 who were killed outright or mortally wounded, and another 45 were wounded, but survived that. Just as a little side note, the Union casualties were 96 killed, and on the Confederate side, 43, which included the 10 VMI cadets. That's another picture. That is a modern day picture of the Bushong home there on the farm there. It has been restored. When you arrive there, you can walk the grounds, and like I say, I've got a mix of some new and old photographs here. But if you go up that way, it's right off of Interstate 81. I-81 kind of runs along the left hand or the western part of the state, and you could go down into to Lexington. And then nearby is the town of Stanton, which is my father attended Stanton Military Academy there. It was started by a Confederate veteran. That school no longer exists. And then you continue north until you get up into New Market. I don't know who that fella is, but in the background you can see more of the field where the cadets and the Confederate forces had to cross, making their way toward the Union lines there. Another picture of the Bush Hong house, kind of taken from the backside of the residence there. That is also on the backside of the house. That little doorway leads into the cellar, which is where the family took refuge while the battle took place, right there on the property, with both musket fire and artillery crossing the ground there. That is one of the outbuildings on the farm. It is a very well maintained property there. The New Market Battlefield Museum is located right next to this property. It's a kind of strange looking building. It's a cylindrical looking building. It kind of almost has a copper sort of a finish to it, but very, very good museum, very, very interesting museum to go into. And it's well worth the trip if you're anywhere in the area to go by the New Market Battlefield, and also to go by VMI if you can. They have an excellent museum there. Normally, during the middle part of the day, if you contact them ahead of time, they have a cadet-led walking tour, lasts about 45 minutes. I believe it starts and ends there at the where the museum is, which is located above the Memorial Hall, which again previously was called Jackson Memorial Hall. Now it is Memorial Hall. All right, these are the 4 guns, the 4 artillery pieces that sit on the parade ground. These are the same 4 that Stonewall Jackson, when he was an instructor there, taught artillery tactics. The tubes are all original to it. The only thing that has changed is the gun carriages, because they sit out in the weather 24/7, 365. So naturally, they were finding about every 8 to 10 years, they were having to replace all of the part of the carriage for the guns themselves. The last time they found an organization or a company called Steen Cannons in Kentucky, and back in 2016, they were refitted with aluminum carriages, but they have the look of wood. They're painted red, which is the same color they were back originally, and they were painted that color to identify them as belonging to the Institute and that they were the field pieces there. Now, those are also the guns that, let me find my place here. They received nicknames, and I don't know if anybody might venture a guess. Um, William Nelson Pendleton, who was Lee's artillery chief, he was the rector for the Episcopal Church there. And when war came, he took his rightful place. He went to war, but he nicknamed these four cannon. He nicknamed them Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. He said they spoke a powerful gospel, and so that's where they got that nickname from. And like I say, these were the same pieces that Stonewall Jackson taught his cadets their artillery practice. And Sean, I can tell you, as all of us feel when we go to some of these battlefields and places, and to be able to walk up there and place your hand on one of these cannons and know this is the same one used by Stonewall Jackson, it's very impressive to say the least.
Now, Kim, I know you were talking about tomorrow with these cannons. Do they still fire them or no?
No, that they have gone to more modern artillery pieces, so they are now just decorative pieces, but they are placed right in front of the entrance to the main barracks, in front of that large parade ground. For many years, directly behind the cannon, between the cannon and the entrance to the barracks, stood a statue of Stonewall Jackson. Again, unfortunately, his statue has been removed from VMI, and it has been replaced with a statue of a more modern soldier, that of General George Marshall. Now, I have not seen it yet, but I understand that the Stonewall Jackson statue has been relocated over there to Newmarket, and where the Newmarket Battlefield Museum is. I don't know where it has been placed exactly. If it had to be moved, I'm glad it's still on display. Of course, Jackson had been dead a year when the Battle of Newmarket took place. I can only assume that because of his connection to VMI and the VMI cadets at the Battle of Newmarket, that is how they kind of tied that in. So if that's where he's at, I'm glad he is on display somewhere. I just don't think they should have moved him from the grounds of VMI. This is just a photograph from inside the Bushong home. Looks very comfortable. So they must have been some people of some means to live the lifestyle that they did. We can move on to the next. Okay, that is a picture of Pendleton, William Nelson Pendleton, and he after the war he went back to the Episcopal Church there, served as rector for the church there. He is also one of the ones who conducted the funeral service for Robert E. Lee there in Lexington. And he was the father of Alexander Pendleton. We'll see a picture of him in a few minutes. Sandy Pendleton, who was an aide to Stonewall Jackson. That's just another shot, more close-up shot of one of the cannon. There's an early picture of Jackson, and he came to the Institute, I believe, in 1851, and was there until he was called into the Confederate service. And we're here to talk about the VMI cadets, so won't spend a whole lot of time on Jackson. We all know he was probably the greatest strategist, military mind in the world, but they said as far as a classroom teacher, he was hard to take because he did everything by rote. He memorized his classes for today. If he got interrupted, he had to go back and start all over again. And thus, I think that's where a lot of the cadets came up with a lot of the not so nice nicknames that they had for Stonewall. But that is one of his early pictures there. That is Pendleton's grave there in the cemetery as you come into Lexington there. That is Sandy Pendleton. That is William Nelson Pendleton's son. Again, he served not only Jackson, but when Jackson was killed, he escorted the body back, and later on he served with General Ewell and also General Early. And Sandy was killed. He was shot September 22nd, 1864, at Fisher's Hill, and he was shot in the gut and died the following day. And his body was returned to Lexington, and he's buried in that same cemetery where his father and so many of the others are. It's now called Oak Grove Cemetery, but the focal point of that cemetery is the Stonewall Jackson gravesite. That is Sandy Pendleton's grave. If you get up there, when you go to the cemetery, as you walk in, there's a little box that has a map, a walking tour, if you will, points out where all of these grave markers are. So it's a very visitor-friendly cemetery. This is a group of cadets. Of the ones that you see pictured there, the one in the upper right is Scott Shipp. Like I say, he was a cadet there, and later on he took over the reins as commandant of cadets after Jackson left. He too was at the Battle of Newmarket, and was led the cadets in the charge there. I've got 2 or 3 pictures here of Shipp throughout his lifetime. You can see here a little bit older Scott Shipp, and he was quite the educated young man. He was a faculty member. After the war, he was a faculty member from 1859 all the way up to 1889. And he spoke several languages. He served on the board of visitors for both West Point and Annapolis. He helped to see that much of the debt was paid off at VMI, and just did many, many things to enhance the type of school that it was, and he lived the remainder of his life right there in Lexington. I think he ended up living with a daughter in his older years, and when he passed away, he too is in the cemetery there. All right, another picture of Ship. You can see a much older, much grayer man there, but still he strikes a very stately pose. And a closer shot of Ship. I think that's probably the last one of him, but I think it was neat to kind of see a progression of him as he aged from young man to an elder statesman, if you will. And that is Scott Ship's grave marker there, same cemetery there in Lexington. All right. Can you find a picture of the younger lady? Can we go to that one first, Sean?
This one?
There we go. That one. All right. This young lady, her name is Eliza Kleindienst, and then she later married a Confederate veteran, last name of Krim. But her first name was Eliza. She went by the nickname of Liddy. Again, if I can kind of go back to the movie, for those of you who may have seen the movie before, after the battle, the Kleindienst home is made into a field hospital, and many of the wounded are brought back there. One of the 10 cadets who died was Garland Jefferson, who was a great nephew of President Thomas Jefferson. He is brought into the home. He is Liddy has him brought into a downstairs bedroom and placed into an actual bed to try to give him comfort. He had been shot through the midsection. They removed the ball through his back. Basically, it was a shot that he would not recover from. And if you did see the movie, if you recall, as the doctor is treating him, and she expresses some concern about Cadet Jefferson, and the doctor says, "Ma'am, is this your son?" And she looks around and she says, "These are all my sons." Liddy grew up there. She stayed there most all of her life. After the battle, like I say, the home was a field hospital, so she helped treat the wounded. After the war, she stayed in touch with many of those cadets. Again, she considered these are all my boys. One of the ones that she maintained a close correspondence with was Moses Ezekiel. And when we get to him in a minute, we'll talk a little more about him. But she stayed, like I say, in contact with many of the cadets afterwards. Now, could we go to that other picture of her as an elderly woman? This was at a gathering that they had there at the battlefield. I guess it was probably an anniversary. And that is Liddy in her old age there. She was quite a person. She lived to be 93, and when she passed away, it was VMI cadets that carried her casket to the grave. In a few minutes, one of the pictures we have is, and it's a poor photo, I'm sorry to say, but it's a picture of a medal that was given to all of the VMI cadets who participated in the Battle of Newmarket. The designer of the medal was Moses Ezekiel. Like I say, all of the cadets who participated in the battle were located, given one of these medals, and Liddy Kleindienst was the only woman who was awarded the medal as well for her care and love for the cadets and what she did for each and every one of them, not only after the battle, but in the years after. That's another picture of Liddy. All right, this is that statue of Virginia mourning her dead on the campus of VMI. In the back, if you can kind of see on the ground there where the brick leads directly behind there, those little stanchions there that has like a chain going from each one, and directly behind them is where the 10 markers are for the 10 who died at Newmarket. As I said earlier, only 6 are actually buried there, and those are the 6 in the center. The 2 to the far left and to the far right are buried in other areas of Virginia. That's a closer look of the markers there. As I say, tomorrow and every year when they do the ceremony, there are floral arrangements placed at each grave. There are 2 flags placed at each grave. One would be for the Commonwealth of Virginia, and the other being the VMI flag. There's not a Confederate flag there because technically they were not Confederate soldiers per se. But so that's why those 2 flags are placed at each of the graves. All right. I was able to get pictures of some of the cadets, not all of them, but we'll try to run through real quick. I know our time is probably starting to get towards the end of the hour. This is Sam Atwill. If you saw the movie, he was kind of the focal point of the movie. He fell in love with a young girl. He is shot and killed. In the movie, he dies like within hours, whereas in reality, he lived several days. Of those who were wounded and did not die immediately on the battlefield, there were several that lived into the month of June and one even into the month of July before succumbing to their wounds. But that is Samuel Atwill. This is William, I don't know if it's pronounced Cable or Cobble, but and of the 10 cadets, I've got a breakdown of what year they were in school, what company they were in, like that. I don't think we really have time to go into each and every one, but we can just kind of scroll through each of these. All right, there you have Thomas Garland Jefferson. He is the one who was the grand nephew of President Thomas Jefferson, and he was a victim at the Battle of Newmarket. This is Charles Crockett. Initially, he had been buried in another location, and I don't know the exact date, but it was sometime in the 1960s. His remains were brought back to the campus of VMI, and interred with the others there at the base of the statue. William McDowell is pictured there. All right, there you have Ezekiel. Like I say, he was the first Jewish cadet at the school there. After the war, he went to Berlin and studied art more there, and then he eventually went to Italy and lived there a number of years. But he was active in a lot of Jewish means of support, Jewish colleges, things such as that. It is said that he had a Confederate flag flying in his studio over in Italy. Just kind of backtracking a little bit, he was a corporal of the guard who escorted Stonewall Jackson when Jackson was shot and killed back in the early times. But that is a young Moses Ezekiel as a cadet, and I think we have a picture somewhere of him in his later years. There he is. Again, a very dapper looking gentleman. When he died, he was, like I say, he was living overseas. He was buried there, but then eventually, I think it was 1921, his remains were brought to the United States, buried at Arlington Cemetery there in the in that large group of Confederates where the large statue Confederate memorial was. And so a great contributor. That is just a side view of the Confederate memorial there at Arlington. This is a famous painting. This is the painting that depicts the Battle of Newmarket. It may be hard kind of at what we're able to see here, but you can see lightning in the background, but this depicts the charge of the cadets. It is 18 feet across and 23 feet in height. If you go to VMI and you go into Memorial Hall, which is where all of their activities take place, church service, all that, that picture you can see right there is in the background of the Memorial Hall there. It's a beautiful hallway. Like I say, they handle all sorts of assemblies there where they can bring all of the cadets in. It was unveiled in 1914. It was painted by a cadet named Benjamin West Kleindienst. Now I find it it's just too much that I can't believe that he is some kind of that Liddy Kleindienst wouldn't have been an ancestor to him. I talked to the people at the VMI Museum. They believe that as well, but they have not been able to establish completely that they were related. But there may be a picture. Okay, that picture, within weeks after the Battle of Newmarket, Union General Hunter came through and torched all of the buildings at VMI. It forced the cadets out for about a year and a half, 2 years, but they rebuilt. And like I say, within just a couple of years, the cadets were back on the campus there, making use of all of the facilities.
Well, with what we know of VMI today, how much of the original building is still there?
I think primarily that original barracks that we saw in some of the pictures there, Memorial Hall. But like I say, if you take the drive through there, you just pass and Sean, I couldn't tell you for sure how many of them are original, but I would think probably just that main original barracks and the Memorial Hall were original, and everything else has probably come along since then. If you go across the street, they have a small football stadium. They have a very large gymnasium with an indoor pool. It's quite a facility there to see.
Cool. Well, Kim, we are out of time, and I know you had a few more pictures, but
well, I'd rather have too many than not enough. So I hope everybody has enjoyed the story of the participation of the VMI cadets at New Market, and hopefully maybe those pictures allowed you to be able to see some of the things that in the past you only heard about. So if we were able to accomplish that, Sean, then I think we were a success.
Yeah. I know quite a bit of people will watch the show. They didn't make comments. People from the Panhandle and throughout South Florida, like Randy Cook and Jimmy Shirley. And I'm hoping Jimmy Shirley is doing better. Hope to see him at division reunion in a couple weeks. Same with Daryl. Daryl got banged up pretty good. So keep those gentlemen in your thoughts and prayers, and hopefully they'll make it to division reunion, and we can check on how they're doing. So, Kim, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come on the show tonight.
I thank you, Sean. It was a pleasure to be here, and like I say, I'm glad we were able to finally make it work.
Yeah, now you and Keith have something to talk about at work.
We do. I'm sure in the morning he'll point out all of the things that I may have said incorrectly, or when I stalled or stuttered, or whatever it may be. But that's all right. That's all right.
You two know each other, so you guys can harass each other.
Yep.
All right. Appreciate you coming on the show tonight. If you guys want more information on Vicki Norris's services, I'll leave that up to Lee Norris and the family. So if you're friends with them on Facebook, Lee Norris has posted it. So please check that out and pay your respects to Miss Vicki. Miss Vicki was a part of Florida Division, Order of the Confederate Rose, and various other groups. So let's keep her memory alive. With that, God bless you. May the Lord be with you and your coming adventures this week. Till next Tuesday, stay Southern, stay out of trouble, and we're gonna end the show with this video. Hope you enjoy it.
My name is Nelson W. Winbush. I'm a member of the Jacob Sumner Camp 1516 Sons of Confederate Veterans. My reason for joining the Sons of Confederate Veterans after the NAACP declared they would destroy and remove everything Confederate in 1990, I decided that I would do all I could to make sure that people understood what the Confederacy stood for.
And Nelson Wimbush is a current member of the Florida Division. Till next time, have a good day. Stay out of trouble.